Green flag, green flag. You're in fifth. You're in the middle, 3 wide.
Would anybody be so kind to offer the invocation before we go green?
Absolutely.
So, hello guys. What's going on? This is Scott McLean Jr. here, and today we're doing an Inside the Mind. I haven't done this in probably 2 years. As we have people thanking God for weed.
Dear Heavenly Father, let everyone wreck but me.
And assuring that everyone
All
wrecks
right,
but 27. Typical stuff in iRacing. Hope you guys are having a great day today. I felt like doing Inside the Mind because, for one, I essentially forgot to turn on my recorder for my camera, and it kind of screwed me on that end. But today we're doing Chicagoland in the A car. We're gonna go through my tendencies, what I was looking for in the race, and everything that went crazy, that even the 3 wide plus 4 wide plus 5 wide in the beginning of this video that you saw. But we're gonna go green, starting in, I believe, 15th. The editing window in my editor is very small, so I'll try and keep up. But it's green flag here, and we're doing pretty good so far. Good on the jump, not too far behind, not too close to the car in front. Always what you want to do. We try to manipulate this inside here and get a run on the 4. That's not the 4, actually, that's the 27, I believe, or 37. Not entirely sure. Can't read. Like I said, very small editor window screen. So, we're clear on the outside. Essentially, right now, we try to push a little too much, and we run directly into the wall. Terrific job, Scott. Terrific job. No, Thomas, that was not your fault. That was me being reckless.
I didn't mean in front of me.
And Jeffrey, obviously, not liking the fact that I spun, and we also killed about 2 crew members. RIP. So we lost time on the pit strategy, and we also had quite a bit of damage. Thankfully, not
Hey, Andrew,
so
I
much.
think you might be stoned, but we had somebody said he drives naked. Have you ever tried that or had any desire to?
Sucks when you get boxing on and your stuff just comes right out.
Some of these conversations, I have no clue what goes through the mind, but as we saw, we had some right front damage there, and we're starting next to Malik Ray, and I'm thinking, oh, it's Malik Ray. Why did he pit? I don't know. He pitted when he didn't really have to, so I think he got bored, and at this point I was like, oh, he's trying to go through the field really fast, so let's see if we can keep up with the pro driver Malik Ray with the Starburst 51 paint scheme. Very nice paint scheme, by the way. I like it a lot. It's pretty cool, yellow and red. I like the yellow specifically, but then you add a good old Margay red on it. It's very nice, very attractive. But we pretty much pass the car on the inside pretty easily here. It's pretty easy to overcook your tires in the beginning. So right now I'm just following Malik. It's always good to see someone who is really fast in front of you and follow them through. This applies to all racing. So we go up the inside of the number 25 here, and we execute pretty well. A little tight on entry. That's just the nature of 3 and 4 in Chicagoland. It's always bumpy through there. Not good. But as you can see, Malik is already flying right now. He's flatting out through corners. He actually almost lost it in 4 there. We try and follow through. We just barely get alongside the 16 here of Cody. And it's really tough, especially with the package that we run with. No one can really get away unless we get a very long green flag run. So it's very hard to get away from people. So right now, I'm kind of just using the opportunities that I can and just taking them as they are given. Right now we got 2 wide in front of us. So essentially, we see the 16 has the hole opened up. We're going to go and follow the 16, go on entry. He checked up a little bit, and that's the momentum that we needed to get the job done. So if you can capitalize on where you need to be, capitalize on different things in terms of where people are on track, that would help tremendously.
Okay,
So,
thank you.
like I said before, if someone's fast, if they're opening up holes, that's what you want to do. And we follow the 16 into another pass, and Malik is also making holes for the 16, so we're kind of having a big train. Sorry if you guys hear the dogs in the background. I guess they're kind of annoyed, or they want to go outside, I don't know. But we try and follow the 16, not happening this time, but the 15 does go wide, so that kind of opens the door for us, and we take opportunity to pass as they are almost 4 wide, blocking all the way down to the white line. Something you usually see at a track like this in the A car. Malik's having a blast, obviously.
I'm not gonna be mad.
And we pass the 7, doing pretty good so far. We're in the top 20 after that huge mistake we had in the early beginning of this race. Something you don't want to do, but it's always important to keep a calm head, keep yourself pretty much calm as much as you possibly can, and try and not make any mistakes. At this point, just sit behind the 16. That's what's going through my head. Save some tires while I am behind him, back up the corner, make sure I'm not over driving the car itself, because that's what will kill you in the long run. They're 3 wide here, so they're obviously going to be running wide a little bit. So I back up the corner and go to the absolute bottom of the exit on track, just to minimize the pushiness of the car. And that's kind of typical with this setup. It's very pushy off, and then it gets loose. So the 16 was on the outside of the quote-unquote 41 machine. I try and get a run, but it seems like the car just died with power. I already checked and I have full power, but I don't think that's the issue. It's possibly that right front damage that's really holding me up, which is not ideal. So, trying to utilize the bottom to our advantage. That is the preferred line. We're getting a little tight. As you can see, I'm turning the wheel a little bit too much here. Trying to keep it rotating, but not run into the guy on the outside. So I back up the corner a lot more than most people, which helps me with tire wear. So we get clear, and that's always good. I figured that once I cleared him, I can go to the outside and have him push me, because he was already side by side, which helped me coming out of the corner and going into 3. That's what you want to look for. The 19 goes wide. He is side by side coming into 3, and we fill that hole and make the opportunity worth it. And we clear him, and we always check in the mirror, making sure that he doesn't dive bomb us back. That is a trend that some people do in top split, so you never know. Always got to watch. But here we're kind of just saving tires, sitting behind, and just making sure that everything is going pretty good. Sometimes you want to do this if you have a gap behind and have a little bit of a gap in between, and you see a huge pack ahead. You don't really want to be fighting too much. This applies to karting, this applies to Formula 1, this applies to NASCAR, any of that stuff. This is just 101 racing, driving 101, essentially. So the 12 car makes a hole, and we've pretty much been saving tires for the past couple laps, so we dive it up in there to fill that hole once he gets clear, and it seems to be working, and it pretty much does. We follow the 41 through 41. Yeah, that's the 41. I don't know why I said 12 earlier. It's because the screen is so small. I keep telling you guys. We get really tight on entry because we didn't back up the corner, and 28 gets very tight, and then I try to block, but it's just not happening because, again, the aero drag is very bad with this damage, and the 11 also had a run, so it was kind of hard to block there. You can block, but you have to do it in a way to where it's perfectly timed. If you do it wrong, you will kill yourself in terms of wrecking the car and screwing your opportunity. So essentially we just let him by, but we start to really feel the effects of this drag from this damage on the right front. I'm trying to minimize that by going deeper in the corner, which probably not ideal if I want to conserve tires, but it's what I had to do to keep up with the pace at the time. So we see the car behind getting a run. This is not ideal. I try and apex a little bit earlier to keep that from happening, staying on the white line to get the car to rotate, and it's really hard to keep up with this damage, so I just kind of have to let him go. I'm going to defend for it a little bit, but not so much to where I run into him. We almost run into that car right there. I believe that's the 15, right? Not entirely sure, but I'm sure in the comments you're going to tell me how many times I was wrong with the numbers. But at this point, it's kind of like, okay, I can't really do much. He was the only car that was behind me. Just let him through, essentially. I tried to slot in line in 3 and 4 pretty smoothly and get as much of a draft as I possibly could, as close as I could, but that didn't really work out too well. So we're going back to the neutral mindset and just trailing behind this car for the most part. As we can see, the pack ahead of us of like 10-15 cars, we are getting closer, which is a positive mindset. That's what you want to see. You want to see you and the couple of cars that you are with getting closer to the pack, because once they start racing, that's when their tires start to fall off, and you want to be as close as you can for when the opportunity comes, when their tires die and your tires are still spanking newer than theirs, essentially. So took a couple of laps to get there, but as you can see, they're through wide and fighting on the apron. So this pretty much helps with me getting to the pack, especially when they are getting sideways like that. That is not ideal for any car, damaged or not. So we're starting to get a little bit closer, which is always ideal. So they're too wide. Like I said before, we're in neutral phase right now. 20 laps to go, so I know that it's time to push. It's time to push the tires a little bit more. Even with this damage, I'm still able to be maybe a tenth or two quicker than most of these guys at this stage of the stint, even with this damage, because the car starts to get a little bit loose coming off the corner, and that's just the nature of this tire model that iRacing released recently. As we get onto the back of this 99 Carl Edwards paint scheme, this tire model, it gets tight and then it gets loose, and then it gets tight and then possibly loose again, depending on how aggressive you are in your tire wear. So if you can save a little bit as we go up the inside of the 99 Affleck car, we get the job done. He has a little bit of run here, so I go defensive on exit and minimize the pushing wide to get the speed off the corner. I just kind of go defensive there. So we get the move done. We're ahead of the car, and we're kind of just tiptoeing our way towards the front as much as we possibly can. So doing pretty good. Looks like they're gonna go through wide, so I'm thinking if there's a hole, I'm gonna be there, as I just swiftly get a little closer on entry, as they almost go through wide, and he almost loses it. Oh my goodness. So we go up the middle, through wide. We get a little tight on entry, mainly because when you're on the brakes, the front tires just don't want to
Stay low. There is a car
They
on
just
the
don't want
high
to turn.
side.
Even with a lower brake bias, it just doesn't really want to turn. So you got to try and stay off the brakes as much as you possibly can. But we utilize that run coming out of 2.
Car outside.
Sorry, coming out of 4.
Still there.
And we're up alongside the 8, but we can't get it as close as I want it to because of that drag from the dirty damage. Dirty damage, that's another thing. We do get a runoff because our tires are a little bit better than his, and I'm thinking we're going to get a push from behind, but that's obviously not going to happen. So we kind of pinch him a little bit to keep him from maximizing his exit,
Clear.
and we defend pretty well there, giving just enough space for one car and nothing more, kind of like Max Verstappen does every single week. When they do start F1 again, hopefully he starts, showcasing that again. I love that driving by Verstappen in F1. He's not my favorite driver, but he's really dope. So at this point, we've got a bit of a space in between us and the cars in front, and they've also got a huge space in between them and the cars in front of them. So we fast forward a lap ahead, and we're pretty much still in the same position, but something goes crazy right now.
Sorry for almost shot me in 22. I was trying to focus on what they were doing in front of us.
They check up a little bit, which gives me a closer edge to get to them, which is very beneficial. So right now we're just riding, kind of just chilling out, making sure that we don't put ourselves in a situation to get passed again because of this damage, screwing us on the exit speed. So everything is going pretty smoothly as one car goes up the inside, which is really good to see. This means we can possibly capitalize if we get close enough to the back bumper of, I believe, the 10 car. So we ride the apron to maximize as much time lost as we possibly can, and we kind of apex a little bit late going into 1 there, and that sets us up as oh my goodness, he almost loses it. He comes back up and we kind of squeeze him just a little bit to maximize that opportunity for ourselves as we get the job done. Yeah, I'm just realizing that's not the 10 car. So we got 10 to go here. People are through wide. So at this point, we're just trying to get as many points or as many positions as we possibly can. So it's really go time right now. Maximizing the exit, but also gaining as much time as we possibly can on the cars in front. Our tires at this point was a lot better than most people, even with this drag making us really tight, more tighter than others around us, which really didn't help. But at this point, I'm just making sure that I can use the right front as much as I can, and that really helps with gaining momentum, gaining speed.
I was trying for 20 laps to get around them. I can't figure it out.
As they're talking about Malik and the front runners, essentially. The dogs are going crazy again. But we get closer and closer to the cars in front with this pack. Essentially, it's coming to a close at the end of this. Fully apologize about the dogs. We get a run on the car ahead with the Budweiser, and we're thinking, okay, let's make this 3 wide, because the guy on the outside is going to go wider than what he wants. And we actually just barely miss out on that position
I am sad.
as the yellow comes out. So
Malik, can I have that position back now? Nah, man.
So
Come on, B. Come on, guys.
apparently Brandon let Malik by. We pitted again, obviously. Everyone essentially pitted pretty good into the box. And at this point, I was thinking track position is probably ideal with only 3 or so laps to go, especially with the tire wear being not too bad considering I wasn't really pushing all the time. So, 2-tire strategy there. Don't know if this is going to work or not, but I'm just keeping that left side warm as much as I possibly can because it's just not going to end well if these things are super cold and they don't want to stick. So I'm warming up the tires and making sure they are in mint condition, especially the left sides, like I said. But if you guys are enjoying the Inside the Mind, definitely hit the like button so that I can upload more of these, so that you guys can, you know, see more of what goes on in my head during these racing strategies. So, about to go green here, and we're trying to time it. The guy in front of us checks up a little bit, which gives the run to the guy behind, and this just puts us in a huge 4 wide for us, but 5 wide behind, and they start wrecking each other. And it was just absolutely crazy as we almost run into the DRS. It was absolutely insane to see that many cars. Like I said, 5 wide behind. It was crazy. As I forget to turn off the little picture there. But look at this. We are 4 wide, 5 wide behind, and they just lose talent. So it went better than expected, but still, it's very hard at Chicagoland to make 5 wide work. But it sort of worked a little bit, but then it failed at the end. So we're going green again. This time I block the inside, knowing this is a possible passing maneuver that happened last time at the restart. So we defend that pretty well. Again, we are on 2 tires, so we're trying to maximize as much time loss as we possibly can because we know that everyone around us is on 4, so we defend even below the white line because people will send it, and we do a pretty good job of that. And people are getting tight, people are pushing in the dirty air. We maximize the corner, we go to the bottom of the track as much as we possibly can to defend from the car behind. We do pretty good of that. We try and stick it up the inside of the 6, but it's really tight, and we get a push from behind, which was not ideal, especially with 2 tires. It made it very difficult to get the job done, but we squeeze the 4 here on exit, and he almost runs into us, and I try not to get hit, and in the end I just, you know, corrected to the right to make way for him, but in the end I just hit the wall and ran through the grass, and we apparently got P12 out of that.
Sorry about that 9 there in the last corner. I clipped the apron and I was just trying to hang on to it.
That is all good, Blaze, or Blake. I don't know why I called you Blaze. But yeah, it was a pretty fun race and pretty exciting to race with Malik as always. We do have RSR tonight, so if you are watching this on Monday, definitely tune in at 8 p.m. Central Time, 9 p.m. Eastern Time for the RSR series to race at this track. Look for the 22, and we'll be sure to put on a great show. So, without further ado, thanks for watching, guys. Scott McLennan here, signing out. As always, drive safely, be smart, but most of all, have fun. God bless, take care, and I will see you guys in the next one.
The answer's getting lost, so I watch my back and keep it moving to the front. And remember that the world's yours, do it how you want. You've been waiting here for too long, think it's time for you to move on. Realize that there's real life in these real times, so be strong.
I've been waiting all my life, and it was right before my eyes. Watching all this time